livestock?
Yeah, I'm Ilse Köhler-Rollefson. I'm from the League for Pastoral Peoples and Endogenous Livestock Development. We're a small organization based in Germany, but I've been working in Rajasthan for 20 years.
And just to get a sense of, you work specifically on livestock.
Right.
So if you could just elaborate a little on situating livestock within the larger paradigm of the commons and how that is.
Yeah, actually we work with mainly with pastoralists, and pastoralists are actually defined as people who raise livestock on common property resources. So there's probably no other community which is as dependent on the commons as these pastoralists.
Okay, and what do you think right now would be, what would you say would be the key challenges to maintaining the commons or for the pastoralists and the pastoral communities today?
I mean, the first key challenge is, of course, the population pressure, and maybe the policymakers don't realize the importance of the commons for poverty alleviation or for supporting the existence of the very marginalized people. And but with particular respect to livestock, it's also so that the overall development paradigm for livestock in India is based on the Western model, where you have, some high-performing dairy cows which are put into a stable and then they're fed concentrate feed. And that's the model which is officially being promoted here by the Ministry of Agriculture, Department of Animal Husbandry. But actually in India, this more extensive model of livestock production, which depends on the commons and on livestock breeds and on traditional knowledge, is maybe much more appropriate, and it will definitely be more sustainable also. Because if India really decides to go this predominant, on the path of the predominant development paradigm for livestock, it will then become dependent on other countries for feed, for livestock feed. So if India wants to maintain some degree of autonomy from outside sources, then it's very important that it protects the space that will enable extensive livestock rearing.
And livestock specifically, if one has to situate it within this whole idea of the commons, I was speaking with somebody else earlier, Kamalji earlier, and he said that livestock is really what the commons circulates around. So the communities will be dependent on livestock, although you wouldn't see livestock as common property, but land would be the common property which people are dependent on only for a specific specific period of time, and for the rest of the year it is livestock. Mm-hmm. So from that, keeping that in mind, I mean, just about the importance of livestock to communities, if you could just elaborate a little bit on that.
Well, in India, we have two types of communities which are very much dependent on livestock. We have, on one hand, the pastoralists, who really, whose whole livelihood depends on livestock keeping, and who obtain all their income from livestock keeping and have large herds. But then you also have what we call smallholders, people who may do some other work, but who also have like 2 cows or a goat or a buffalo or so, and which is important for their subsistence. And so these people, and that's a huge part of practically the entire rural population of India is to some extent dependent on the commons.
And through workshops, like you've been part of these workshops, so through workshops like this, can you see any synergies that are emerging, or any kinds of coming together of different people who are working with different issues into one common platform?
No, absolutely. It's been a fascinating workshop for me, because usually I interact only with the livestock people and the pastoralist people, and here I get exposed to new ideas, and I learned a lot from Elinor Ostrom's models. I think they're very applicable to our situation, not just to that of the direct dependence of livestock on the commons, but also some of the concepts associated with intellectual property rights, or so, they are also applicable to animal genetic resources.
And from here, from the conference or conferences like these, how do you think they can feed into or strengthen the struggles of people on the ground?
I think we have to make a bigger issue. What I see, one big event that's coming up in 2012 in India is the 11th Conference of the Parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity, which is a huge event. You know, there'll be 10,000 people coming. And we also have a fairly open minister, you know, of forest and environment at the moment. And I'm sure, you know, the ministry would like to project, you know, India as a, you know, a country that's doing a lot for its biodiversity. So, and that can only happen if we also protect the commons. So I think I see like a window of opportunity here in the run-up to the COP of the CBD.
And can you also, I mean, if I were just to ask of maybe an anecdote or an incident or any kinds of success stories in managing the commons, or any kinds of, have you seen in your experience, which is really vast, some positive examples that you could quote, which other people, probably other sectors also could learn from?
No, I mean, I can give you, well, two examples. One is the fact that in Rajasthan, like in many other parts of India, the common is in many places pretty degraded. But in those villages where the pastoralist community is actually in the majority of the Gram Panchayat, usually the commons are in an excellent condition. So that really it shows
which villages?
This is in the villages of Rajasthan, for instance, Siroi district or Pali district.
And why do you think, I mean, how do you think the pastoralists being part of the panchayat has...
They have the majority in the panchayat. You mean they can call the stops, and they can, you know, implement rules to protect the commons and not to overgraze it. And they're the ones who have the biggest stake in it, you know, so they benefit from the commons being properly regulated. And then another story, which is not quite a success story yet, but I've been working with Raika pastoralists which live adjacent to the Kumbhalgarh sanctuary in Rajasthan, and they used to have grazing rights until 2003, and then they were abolished from then onwards, and then the Forest Rights Act came, and everybody thought this is a good opportunity now to get the rights back, but there were many problems to. We're on the path now, but it was made very difficult to actually claim these rights. But with the help actually of a new tool, which is called Biocultural Protocol, which is a process in which a community documents its knowledge, its genetic resources, and also its rights. That's a very empowering process for a community to go through. So after the Raika developed this protocol, they really felt the strength to claim their rights, and so they made a big rally and a big demonstration that's had considerable impact with the Forest Department.
And like you were saying about the Forest Rights Act, acts like these actually have also seen a lot of, you know, there has been a movement against acts like this by the environmentalists community. So if you could just elaborate on some of the, if you think there are some or two key things to keep in mind while we're talking about formulating government policies or dealing with these people-forest kinds of conflicts which are becoming pretty common in our country. So what are some of the lessons that or some things to keep in mind when we're working on policies?
Policies in general, you mean? Or
the
Forest Rights Act,
Policies like the Forest Rights Act, which will directly affect people's interaction with the commons and people's, you know, people taking ownership of common spaces.
I mean, the Forest Rights Act also needs to be made better known. You know, that there are many communities, especially pastoralist communities, who don't know about the existence of this act. So, you know, we need to spread awareness among them. And the other thing is also that India is always conceived as like a composed of all these, the village republic, and whereas there is actually a large number of you know, specialized livestock keeping or pastoralist communities in the country, and they haven't been visible at all. You know, so I think we also need to maybe document the existence of these of all these communities, and then maybe enable them to develop biocultural protocols to raise their visibility. So that's what I would recommend to further the implementation of this act. Yes.
And just one last thing, you were talking about how wherever the pastoralists are in majority in the local governance, they have been able to implement policies.
Rules, let's put it rule, you know.
So if you could give examples of some of these rules that have worked for particular communities, if you could recollect any.
Well, but I can only recollect some of the traditional, for instance, the Riker community, they used to have a total ban on building pucca houses. You know, they were, because it was felt that this was bad for, led to overgrazing. If the people become settled, you know, then the movement of the animals also gets restricted, so that it leads to overgrazing. So traditionally they enforced actually kind of a nomadic lifestyle. So actually maintaining a good degree of mobility is key for maintaining the environment. Maybe that wasn't very good.
We can edit that, so that's not a problem.
Yeah.
And while we have you here, I'm going to just take this opportunity. We're making this other small video just to, like I was saying, make more people aware of what is the Commons Dialogue all about.
Yeah.
So for that, if we could just get a response to a small, tiny response from your experience of working with livestock and pastoralists. If I ask you the question, what does Commons mean for you? So what would you say?
What the commons means the base of our livelihoods. Without the commons, we can't keep our animals and we don't have any economic future. You just wanted a bite, or?
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah, okay.
And if I can get you to repeat the sentence, I believe in commons and communities.
I believe in commons and in communities and their ability to manage the commons in a sustainable manner.